Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Rivera, President and CEO of MassDevelopment. On behalf of the Baker-Polito Administration, I want to thank you for joining us for today's announcement about the Site Readiness Program. I will be serving as your MC. I want to start by extending my deepest thanks to Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and Secretary Kennealy for taking time out of their busy schedule to celebrate with us this morning. But first, I think I speak for everyone in the Commonwealth by saying thank you for your tireless work over the past year to lead Massachusetts through this pandemic and support for our residents and businesses at every step of the way. Last March, I was still serving as mayor of the city of Lawrence, and the governor was scheduled to visit our city on St. Patrick's Day to announce this very same program, the awards, but for the FY20 Site Readiness programs. One of many events that was put on pause when it became clear just how devastating COVID-19 was going to be for our communities. Well, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Secretary Kennealy, I'm glad that we have the opportunity to celebrate the FY21 round of awards together this year, and I'm glad that we could get the band back together, at least for this on Zoom. So one silver lining to the holding these events virtually, in addition to keeping folks safe, is that we can conveniently bring together state and local officials from every corner of the Commonwealth. So today, we're also joined by Pittsfield Mayor Linda Tyre, Senator Adam Hines, Representative Tricia Farley-Bouvier, and I believe Representative Paul Mark is in the audience, along with Pittsfield Economic Development Authority Chairman Mick Callahan, as well as other legislators. And I know that in the audience is our one of our great mayors, Gloucester Mayor Safasha Romantheken, and two great state representatives from the Merrimack Valley, Frank Moran and Christina Minicucci. Thank you guys for participating. For those of you who are not familiar with MassDevelopment, we're the Commonwealth's finest. Well, we are the Commonwealth's finest, but we're also the finance, finance and development agency. We help stimulate economic growth through a wide variety of programs, products, and technical assistance, such as loans, taxes and bonds, grants, and real estate services. During FY20, the agency financed over or managed 341 projects, generating investment of more than $2.6 billion in the Massachusetts economy. And these projects are estimated to create or support 10,000 plus jobs and build or preserve about 1,700 units of housing. This is my third month on the job at MassDevelopment, if you couldn't tell already. So I'm also still learning about all the unique ways this agency helps support economic development. But having served as mayor of Lawrence for the past 7 years, I'm no stranger to how the work this agency does can have a real transformative impact on the community. The Site Readiness Program is a great example of that. Created as part of the Baker-Polito Administration's 2016 Economic Development Bill and administered by MassDevelopment, the Site Readiness Program aims to boost Massachusetts' supply of large, well-located, project-ready sites, accelerate private sector investment in industrial and commercial projects, and support the conversion of abandoned sites and obsolete facilities into clean, actively used, tax-generating property. In Lawrence, we've seen real impact from this fund. The Site Readiness Fund steadily supported Lawrence Community Works, phased redevelopment of the massive Mariner building complex. In 2017, the program funded $50,000 for architectural code compliance studies. In 2020 and 21, the program funded $185 in code improvements needed to allow for the continued industrial use of that building. A building that, as I grew up as a kid in Lawrence, was always abandoned and we expected nothing from it. So this fund is making an impact in every community. But in 2020, the city received one of the program's largest single grants, $750,000 for the demolition of the former Merrimack paper mill, which will be cleared to make way for a small campus of modern industrial buildings. This project is still in process, but we hope to finalize funding and permitting by the end of the year. As a former mayor and now president and CEO of MassDevelopment, I'm grateful that the Baker-Polito administration has prioritized preparing cities and towns for success, with site readiness funding being an important way the Commonwealth helps connect communities to opportunity. The agency looks forward to continuing to administer this and other economic programs on behalf of the Commonwealth and to do our part in keeping Massachusetts a great place to live and work. Without further ado, I would now like to introduce our governor, Charlie Baker, to speak. Governor?
Hey, thanks very much, Dan. Let me just start by saying that the Lieutenant Governor and I have spent a lot of time with you and with your team and with the city council and with local business leaders up in Lawrence over the previous 5 or 6 years. And you all got a lot done up there. And there's a tremendous amount of work that remains to be done, but you also made significant progress, and we were glad that some of the Commonwealth's tools in the toolbox were able to help you get some of that done. And the second thing I would just say, there were a lot of local officials who were pretty excited when the Lieutenant Governor and I announced that we were putting a mayor into the position at the head of mass development. I think it's nice when you can work with somebody who's been in the shoes, as they say. And obviously a lot of the folks that we work with on this Site Readiness Program and so many of the other initiatives that we pursue around economic development and community building are ones that involve partnerships with our colleagues in local government. And that's why it's nice to have Mayor Tyre on today. It's also nice to have Senator Hines and Representative Bouvier. I would just say this to all of you. This program, which we proposed in our economic development bill back in 2015, I think, and was ultimately approved and enacted and funded by the legislature in 2016, is a pretty important part of how we help communities reimagine properties. And while that's certainly an economic development issue, it's also an environmental issue. The more opportunities we have to put existing property back to work, it's less property that we need to green space into something else. And I think sometimes that gets lost in the translation on this, but we certainly feel that this program and many of the other ones that are available either through MassDevelopment or through Secretary Kennealy and his office can really make a big difference in helping communities sort of what I would describe as build their future. And now that we got the housing choice legislation passed, thank you again to the folks in the legislature who are on this call and to many of your colleagues. That creates real opportunities for local officials and for state government to work together with their nonprofit and for-profit development partners to make stuff happen here in Massachusetts and in communities that are looking to move forward on what I think we would all agree needs to be a very aggressive housing agenda. The one other thing I just want to say, and then I'll pass the baton on to the Lieutenant Governor. Dan, you mentioned the fact that this was supposed to be an event up in Lawrence last year. If I had to pick the single biggest thing that the Lieutenant Governor and I miss most about our day jobs, it's the opportunity to spend time physically in communities around the Commonwealth, talking to local officials, talking to local business leaders, talking to folks who worry about downtowns and neighborhood development, and actually having a chance to see physically what they're working on and what they're trying to solve for, and being able to get a sense of the enthusiasm that people have for a lot of the work that they're pursuing and the projects they'd like to get done. And honestly, if we can get a significant portion of our population vaccinated, and if the feds can amp up the supply in a big way, the possibilities and the opportunities there for us to get back to something that looks like what I would call what I've been thinking of as sort of the next normal is very real. And the one other thing I would add to that, we commissioned a study on the future of work, and it's not so much the future of work meaning, you know, artificial intelligence or the next generation in logistics or how blockchain is going to change the way people process certain kinds of transactions. This is more about like how people work and where they work and how they live and where they live, and what does the post-pandemic world look like, and what will the impact of that be on the way we've historically thought about how and where people work and how and where they live. And I think we are all going to need to figure out how to lean into some of the changes that have taken place over the course of the past year, because some of them I don't think are going away. And our opportunity to work with the legislature on this and ensuring that MassDevelopment and the rest of our housing and economic development team is really focused on what the world is going to look like in the future, so that we're investing in making the opportunities to accentuate the positive or mitigate the negative of some of these changes is there to support communities across the Commonwealth. I think it's going to be an interesting challenge, and in some respects a little bit of the unknown with respect to how this is going to work and what it's going to look like. But I think it creates great opportunities for people at the state and local level to work together, and perhaps even put some federal resources to work to try to make some of this stuff happen. And with that, I will pass the baton over to Lieutenant Governor Polito, who I'm sure will point out that this program fits in quite nicely with a whole bunch of other programs that she's built into a big stack of municipal support initiatives as part of our administration. Lieutenant Governor?
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you. I just want to start acknowledging Mayor Rivera and his new title, President of MassDevelopment. I'm still going to call you Mayor. I think once you're Mayor, all Mayor, right? But I think a really great opportunity for all of us to work with you, given that you had the hands-on frontline experience taking hard to redevelop buildings, your mill buildings all over the city of Lawrence, turning them into successful homes, places for people to reside, as well as more commercial development, mixed uses that really are working in your city. And to now take that literally and spread your experience with the experts of MassDevelopment all across our state. You know, I've had the opportunity, and we've talked about this, to visit every community of our Commonwealth, and the road ahead for you, Dan, is going to be really exciting as you really see up close the great Commonwealth that we have through our communities. This is a terrific program, which is another program born of the conversations that our administration has had, legislators, as well as with local officials. And my travels, I would be at meetings with our colleagues, and you would often highlight in your master plan various parts of your community that you just wished could be redeveloped, but not having the resources to do the analysis about what's the highest and best use for a site. It was challenging for a lot of you to be able to get to that next level. And that's clearly what site readiness is about. You know, oftentimes we talk about growing our economy through investment in people. Talent is a great driver of job growth and opportunity in this Commonwealth, but it's also an opportunity for us to invest in places, you know, physical places. You know, we've done a lot in downtowns and main streets, and we clearly have a lot more to do ahead coming out of this pandemic. But being ready for a site to be able to meet the needs of industry that is growing in our Commonwealth, whether it's startup, an expansion, or a new enterprise, being ready for that opportunity is really critical. Time is money, and there are a lot of businesses that want to be able to make decisions about where to set up or expand their enterprise with sites that are ready for them. But being ready takes a lot of work, right? It takes your master plan and all of you figuring out what you envision for that area of your community. It takes an analysis of the environmental conditions, takes an analysis of what infrastructure is needed for future development, market analysis. You know, if we build this, will they come, and what is the best use for that area? And that's why these grants, although they range from as small as $50,000 up to $880,000, they really will make a difference for you to be able to better position these parcels, these assets of yours into a higher, better use. And what that produces is more tax revenue, right? When you're thinking about the impact on your payers, your business community, and your residents, diversifying and expanding your tax base clearly helps a lot. And when you have more revenue to work with, you can drive better service, which all adds up to a stronger quality of life that you sort of promote and advertise as part of your community's brand. So this is it's just a sign of our times that we are here virtually celebrating a site readiness program. Being on site would clearly be more exciting for all of us to literally take in the environment in which you're trying to improve. But just one more tool in the toolbox. We're all about making that toolbox as heavy as possible with resources. Based on our conversations, we started the One Stop for Growth program. I know Secretary Kennealy is going to talk a little bit more about that. We've received 27 expressions of interest from communities across the Commonwealth who are already listing out for us to work with them on the key opportunities that they want to see developed. And this is just one of those areas. And yes, you are so smart, so resourceful, stacking up these grants. That's adding up a lot in terms of jobs and opportunity, and you're a part of our Commonwealth. So we can't thank you enough. And it's really nice to be able to take a few minutes and talk about something that's not COVID and not vaccination related. So this is a great morning for all of us. We're really proud of you. You've got some terrific projects that we cannot wait to see. With that, I'll turn it over to Secretary Kennealy.
Well, thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. Great to be with you all today. Great to be with our colleagues in government, the mayor, the senator, the representative, and other folks who are on the Zoom that we can't see right now. I want to pick up on a couple of themes the governor and lieutenant governor mentioned. It was absolutely the best part of my job was getting out and seeing these sites and seeing the communities in person. I hope we're going to get back to that mode of working sometime soon. There's no substitute for getting out there in the field and meeting with the folks that are making things happen. And second, just very excited for Dan's leadership at MassDevelopment. I've known Dan back since his first days of being mayor. Back when I was working in Lawrence on the public school turnaround, helping improve the schools up there. And it was great to work with Dan in that context, and great to work with him when he was a mayor and I was a secretary. And now great to be chair of the MassDevelopment board and see the work in person. I think Dan's off to a great start building his team and getting the programs implemented at MassDevelopment. This is a nice announcement today. You know, we got 10 communities getting funding to help fund, pre-development work to get sites back to productive use. And I think this whole program is just, good policy implemented well. It was the process to design this program now 5-6 years ago. It was a thoughtful process. It's a good program. Any good program relies on good implementation, which we've had through MassDevelopment. And this idea of getting underutilized parcels back into shovel-ready use is a really important economic development imperative. So we're very excited about the announcement today and seeing how this program has evolved. Continuing this program depends on having more capital to put to work. And I want to echo the governor's gratitude to the legislature for the passage of the economic development bill a couple months ago. It's a $626 million bill. There's a lot of great capital authorizations and policy provisions for economic growth and community development and housing. But included in that 626 is $15 million additional reauthorization for the Site Readiness Program. So we can continue this great work and continue the program in the coming years. There's a number of other great items in the bill as well around neighborhood stabilization, which will return blighted or vacant housing units back to productive use. There's a program for underutilized properties. I think just as we have experienced, we go to visit these cities and towns and someone can point to a site that's been vacant. Also, people point to buildings that have been vacant and say, geez, I wish I could take care of this particular property. Well, we've got a program now to do that with underutilized properties. So very excited about the bill and grateful for the partnership of the legislator to get the overall bill done, but also most topically today on the site readiness part. I will just touch on two other parts of the economic development bill. And I will say we're coming off a year where we have largely been playing a lot of defense, right? We've had a lot of things coming at us. And I hope we're going to get to play some offense here in a few different respects. One is around housing. So the governor mentioned the housing choice legislation. I think that paired with our capital programs mean we can really start playing offense in a big way on housing production. So we're very excited about that. And the second is around community development generally. The lieutenant governor touched on this one-stop idea. We're very excited about this. And this is now 10 different programs where communities can apply through a single application portal to get access to those programs. We've been rolling this out over the last couple of months. It will be how we deliver our programs this year. It's responsive to a lot of listening we did in the context of our economic development planning, where we heard a lot of feedback around, hey, you guys have great programs, but you got a lot of them. And there's a fair amount of complexity in terms of the application process and the delivery of those programs. Well, we took all that feedback back and said, geez, let's align these programs. Let's deliver them in a common application, and really do this in a way where the dialogue with the cities and towns is not about them applying one-off for a series of grant programs, but they get to come in early in the process and talk about what their plans are, what their aspirations are. I think this expression of interest idea it's an optional part of the program. It's a powerful one because we start a dialogue about your goals, your ambitions, and then we figure out the best way to fund it versus having people kind of chase individual grants. So we'll have a lot more to say about that, but I think it is a fundamentally different and better way to do what we do in the community development realm. So great to be with everybody today. I think with that, I pass it back to Dan.
Thank you so much, Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, and Secretary Kennealy for your remarks and your steadfast leadership. I will try to live up to your expectations and do work important to help the Commonwealth here at MassDevelopment. I'd like now to announce the 10 projects that are receiving a total of nearly $3.2 million this year. You can follow along with our PowerPoint presentation. Carriage Grove Power Plant in Belchertown will receive $804,000. Belchertown Economic Development and Industrial Corporation will use site readiness funds at Carriage Grove for the abatement and demolition of a power plant shuttered since 1992. And when cleared, the 1-acre site will become a development pad or a parking area to support the development of an adjacent 15-acre industrial district on the site of several deteriorating hospital buildings. In Brockton, the Frederick Douglass Avenue will receive $70,000. The City of Brockton and the Brockton Redevelopment Authority will use site readiness funds to complete due diligence, survey, and appraisal and related work to support the purchase, assemblage, and development of a 300-space public parking garage, workforce housing, and a vertical farm on an underutilized downtown site largely used for parking today. In Burlington, the Burlington Mile Road will receive $85,000. Town of Burlington will use the site readiness funds to prepare a master plan that will provide a development vision and implementation strategy for developing the town's Burlington Mall Road corridor into a walkable mixed-use district. In Fairhaven, Route 6, Route 2, and Route 240 will receive $75,000. The town of Fairhaven will use this award to fund technical work in support of its Route 6 240 redevelopment study, which covers a 300-acre area and more than 150 properties near the interchange of Route 6 and Route 240. The funds will be used for an environmental assessment of barriers of development in the area with a focus on a 20-acre capped landfill. Waterfront redevelopment in Gloucester will receive $700,000. City of Gloucester will use site readiness funds to support its working waterfront. The city is currently in the process of updating its municipal harbor plan and will use the grant to support the redevelopment of strategically important property in the inner harbor. The Mariner Building in Lawrence, close to my heart, $135,000. The Lawrence Community Works will use the site readiness funds to remediate lead paint and improve the sprinkler system at the Mariner Building, which has sat unoccupied since Polotech moved out in 2016. The improvements will allow commercial tenants to occupy the facility, generating much needed cash flow to support the complete redevelopment of the property. Lawrence Community Works received a $250,000 grant in the 4th round of the Site Readiness Program to commence these needed building code improvements to the building. And the project has also received 2 Brownfields Redevelopment Fund awards totaling $177,000 for the site and site assessment work. In Leicester, Millbrook Industrial Park will receive $50,000. The town of Leicester will use the site readiness funds to undertake due diligence studies and market analysis for an undeveloped 116-acre site with 2,000 feet of frontage on Houghton Memorial Highway that could support up to 1.5 million square feet of development. In Palmer, Church Street Bridge will receive $280,000. The town of Palmer will use site readiness funds to design the replacement of the Church Street Bridge over the Ware River. The bridge, last rebuilt in 1937, provides direct access to the village of Thorndike and is critical to the redevelopment of the Thorndike Energy Mill Complex. And in Pittsfield, Site 9 will receive $880,000, and the Pittsfield Economic Development Authority will use site readiness funds to complete the design, environmental permitting, and bid-ready documents for the construction of an internal site roadway utilities, and stormwater facilities for this 16.5 acre site. The funds will be used for engineering and design services, as well as crushing existing pavement on the site, which is expected to accommodate 202,000 square feet of industrial uses and open space. MassDevelopment has also awarded nearly $625,000 from the Brownfields Redevelopment Fund to support the William Stanley Business Park. This includes $264,000 award to address environmental challenges at the site. It's at Site 9. Another great example of how multiple state tools can work hand in hand to advance economic development at a parcel. And in Southwick, Hudson Drive and Sam West Road Industrial Park will receive $105,000. The town of Southwick will use site readiness funds to evaluate the feasibility of extending a road connection between existing industrial areas along Hudson Drive and Sam West Road, thereby creating new development sites for industrial uses. The funds will also be used to study the potential extensions of municipal sewer services to the area. So to all the municipalities, businesses, and organizations receiving funds today, congratulations. Your vision and hard work are what helped make Massachusetts such a great place to be. So we're pleased that today Pittsfield Mayor Linda Tyre, Pittsfield's Economic Development Authority Chairman Mike Callahan, and the Pittsfield Legislative Delegation could join us to talk about what their $880,000 Site Readiness Award will mean for their community. So I would now like to welcome Pittsfield's Mayor Linda Tyre to say a few words. Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor Rivera, for today's outstanding news for the city of Pittsfield. I wish we were all together standing at the William Stanley Business Park to talk about this amazing concept and project that we have underway here. And I'm exceedingly grateful, especially to Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito, for your constant, consistent support and belief in Pittsfield and in our future. We were one of the first designated TDI districts in the Commonwealth, which that initiative has really helped shape our vision for this critical corridor, which is in the Morningside neighborhood. And this partnership has been and continues to be critical to Pittsfield's growth and innovation. You supported us with the Berkshire Innovation Center. You've supported us with streetscape projects. And now this outstanding award. Thank you for believing in us then and for believing in us today. So this Site Readiness Grant Award is just one more example of the collaborative spirit that exists here in Pittsfield. So in this case, the longstanding partnership between the city of Pittsfield and the Pittsfield Economic Development Authority reflects a tremendous effort to keep the redevelopment of the William Stanley Business Park a priority. It's our unwavering commitment to preparing Pittsfield to attract new and expanding businesses at a historic landmark. It really began in 2020 in the midst of a global health pandemic when the city and PETA completed a master plan for Site 9, laying the groundwork for today's award. As Mayor Rivera mentioned, this is a 16.5 acre site. And this is the largest parcel and the most visible parcel at the William Stanley Business Park. For way too long, our residents have been driving through or around the William Stanley Business Park. Many of you here today have visited the William Stanley Business Park, and this parcel looks like the surface of the moon. But today, with this funding, you have endorsed our concept. And this marks the groundwork that we need to transform this parcel, which has really been undevelopable and in a state of deterioration for over 20 years. And also for a very long time, there was a prevailing expectation among the residents of Pittsfield that one day a large industry would come back to the William Stanley Business Park, acquire all 16.5 acres. However, we now know that that's not the way business and industry works today. And since we brought Michael Coakley, the city's business development manager, at the helm to lead the way 3 years ago, we have seen repeatedly the desire of many industries who are interested in exploring Pittsfield, growing their business in our community, or starting their business here. Business leaders are constantly seeking large parcels to build 50,000 square foot buildings on. With Deanna Roofer, the city's director of community development, and Mike Coakley at the helm of this work, Pittsfield is becoming a powerhouse, and we could not do it without the partnership of Mick Callahan as chair of the PETA board at the William Stanley Business Park. So with this funding, we'll be able to complete a scope of work that's critical to initiating the site's redevelopment, making it a more attractive option for private sector development, including industrial, manufacturing, warehouse, commercial, and retail offices, retail and office space. So in addition to site readiness, Pittsfield was awarded a brownfields remediation grant for this parcel, and that will continue this work. Thank you for acknowledging that, Mayor Rivera, the stacking up of these grants. Today's award will be used for the engineering and design phase, which is required to prepare the engineering, the environmental permitting, and bid-ready documents necessary for the next phase, which is construction. And construction includes site roadways, utilities, stormwater management, and the estimated work around cracking and crushing the existing concrete. This feature, as you can see in the beautiful drawing that you showed us, Mayor Rivera, will include, it will feature green space, and it will be subdivided into smaller, more marketable parcels so that our developers will have more choices. Now, equally important, this work will complement and support several other recent and ongoing revitalization projects that are underway in the Morningside neighborhood here in Pittsfield. And that includes the Tyler Street Streetscape and Roundabout project, for which we recently received $3 million in MassWorks grant. And it also includes the private investments in housing. Mayor Rivera, you and I served as co-chairs of a housing initiative, and we are starting to see the results of these public investments leading to private investments in our city here in Pittsfield. Milltown Capital has invested in housing in this very important and iconic neighborhood. Also, the iconic property at Morningside, formerly the St. Mary's Church, has been converted by David Carver and CT Management into stunning market rate apartments. So this is just the beginning of creating and not waiting for the future that Pittsfield deserves. So the next step for the Pittsfield team, as Lieutenant Governor is proud to promote, we will be applying for the one-stop grant application so that we can keep moving forward at the William Stanley Business Park. We look forward to this ongoing partnership with you, and thank you again from the bottom of my heart for believing in our city. We've come a long way, and we're looking forward to more success stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Tyre. Your work is showing, and we really appreciate that and all the hard work and your leadership here in the Commonwealth. I would now like to welcome PETA's chairman, Pittsfield Economic Development Authority's chairman, Mick Callahan, to say a few words. Mick.
Very much. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Pittsfield Economic Development Authority, we thank you, Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito, Secretary Kennealy, MassDevelopment President and CEO Dan Rivera, for this generous grant, and we certainly accept it, and the timing could not be better. We also appreciate the role the City of Pittsfield team has played along with our consultants to make this possible. And at the direction of our director, Mike Coakley, we're going to make it happen. The timing is perfect in many ways in that the William Stanley Business Park is open for business. This community is experiencing a tight market for larger scale buildings, and the timing of this, as I said, could not be better. We will deploy this much needed funding to get more sites ready for development. As you may recall, the City of Pittsfield was very proactive in May of 2017 to produce an economic development team for the city that would work with our partners, local community people, state and city folks working together hand in hand, which was a recipe for success. We thank you all very much for your trust in us, and we are site ready, and more importantly, I like the governor's term, reimagined. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And now would like to welcome Senator Adam Hines to say a few words. Senator?
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome to Pittsfield. We'll have to have you out here in the summer when we can visit this site and multiple critical investments. President Rivera truly is one of the finest, as he said earlier in this program. He's the guy everyone thought you might like that, Governor. He is the guy that everyone turns to, though, for action and insight. He's been a member of the Senate Revenue Working Group that I'm chairing, and we're hoping to finish that up soon. So it's great to see you having a statewide impact in this role, Mayor. And welcome back, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Secretary Kennealy. You might be enjoying my new reality, which is instead of waking up at 6 a.m. Several times a week to go to the State House, I got up at 6 a.m. to exercise, look out the window. I can almost see the site from here, enjoy the Pittsfields, make a coffee, send a few emails. So it's a good thing. And Governor, I'm also chairing a new Senate Committee on Reimagining Massachusetts. Post-COVID Resiliency is the complicated name. And I want to say your intent to move an estimated 20,000 state workers to a hybrid remote work posture makes a lot of sense and hopefully extends state employment further afield in the process. So I thought that was a smart move. Congratulations, Mayor, and your team, Mick and PETA. It's your hard work and vision that got us here today, quite honestly. Mayor, thanks for always looking forward and looking at the complex issues and finding a way to move them down the field. You do it often, and we're grateful for it. It feels like this is an important week, quite honestly, for turning the corner on recovery for our economy and for workers. It looks like Congress will finalize their relief package as soon as today. This week, the Senate and the House will likely send our own version of a package of assistance to the governor. It includes things like a rate freeze on the unemployment insurance and ensuring paid sick leave and reimbursing employers for those related costs, conforming to the federal tax code related to PPP exclusions for tax purposes, and on, more assistance for unemployed workers. And so with all of us doing that work and doing the work on trying to rethink our economy and our workforce, honestly, it feels like the value of the Site Readiness Program is even more important than ever, because then you need those serious and tangible forms of assistance to reimagine sites and our local economies, and allow for an acceleration of private investment at a time when, quite honestly, we truly need growth and redevelopment. So in our case here in Pittsfield, it's a transition, as you heard, from previous economic anchors in our city to a new era of development. And in our case, like many others, it requires serious investment and to overcome some of the obstacles. And so the site readiness funds are really critical for boosting that potential investment. And we also appreciate the investments are being made across the state. Every dollar we feel goes a little further out here in terms of impact and multiplier effect. And so I think it's also important to extend my congratulations to all recipients around the Commonwealth. So thanks, Governor, to the entire administration, to you, President Rivera, and look forward to having you out here soon.
Thank you, Senator, for your leadership and your support. I look forward to working with you in all those ways you mentioned, and especially to move forward Pittsfield in the way that the community felt important. Now, in an interesting feat, a little bit like Samantha Bee, we'd like to welcome Representative Tricia Farley-Bouvier, who's actually, I think, something special treat for us in the virtual event. I think she's live from Site 9 in Pittsfield. Is that true, Representative? Is that? I mean, I think you're a little sideways though. I don't know.
Is this better? Is this better? Okay, I'll do it this way. Thank you so much for that feedback. So thank you so. So I'm at the site. I'm on the corner of Woodlawn Avenue and Tyler Street. I'm here to thank the governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary Kennealy, who have spent so much time here in Pittsfield doing so many things. And to really tell people how proud I am to be part of Team Pittsfield. Team Pittsfield is made up of local, state, and federal partners, along with our private partners who really put things together to make things better for the people of Pittsfield. And the reason I came here today was to try to show you in the best way I can, I'm going to try this now, is to show you by standing in one place how many ways the Commonwealth has partnered with the city of Pittsfield. Okay, so I'm literally standing in one place. I'm going to turn my camera around and I'm going to switch over to here. We're at the eastern edge Pittsfield's Transformative Development Initiative. So the TDI program, we were one of the first cities, as the mayor said, to do that. I think you might be able to see the steeple of a church there. That is St. Mary's Church. Fun fact, Trisha Farley-Bouvier at the time was baptized in that church. Okay, so that's right there. That is now, as the mayor said, transformed into the really most unbelievable housing. Really, you all want to live there. It's just so beautiful what David Carver did. Right across the street is La Fogata Restaurant. La Fogata Restaurant is actually, another fun fact, Mayor, was my grandfather's store, you know, back in the day, and is now owned by Miguel Gomez, who, another fun fact, Mayor, was my student when he first came to this country from Colombia, and I taught him English. And that was when he was sweeping floors at a local butcher shop, and then he was able to use his skills as a butcher that he brought from his country, and now has this great restaurant. And Mayor Rivera, you haven't had the chance to have Pittsfield shown off by me, but whenever I show off Pittsfield, we go to La Fogata for the tostones and the beefsteak a caballo, okay? So let's make a plan to do that.
Why would you think that I'd be interested in a restaurant?
Well, I can tell you, I'm interested.
I want to know where the track, I want to know where a brother can run in some track and field. You know?
Okay, yeah. Well, let's get to that. Okay, now just literally, I'm just turning the camera. And what you're seeing now is Woodlawn Bridge. Another fun fact, Woodlawn Bridge, again, with partnership, state and federal government, was the last bridge in this rail corridor to allow for double-decker trains so that we could get the double-decker trains across to Chicago. Right on the other side of Woodlawn Bridge, you can maybe see the flags flying, is the Berkshire Innovation Center. Now, according to my Facebook memories, it was 3 years ago on this very day that the governor, lieutenant governor, came to Pittsfield to announce the final package of funding so that we could break ground and build the Berkshire Innovation Center. Just 6 months later, the governor, lieutenant governor came back to do the groundbreaking, and it was one of the last ribbon cuttings that they did in person was when the Berkshire Innovation Center opened up last year. Now I'm just moving my camera a little bit more, and this is Site 9. Site 9, which I loved the rendition that was done of Site 9 with all that green space and beautiful buildings. But as the mayor said before, Site 9 is moonscape is a really, really great way to put it. I don't know if you can still see that. So I just want people to know that when we talk about stacking programs and grants and putting together the team, Team Pittsfield does it better than anybody else. The professional team that we have in our community development office, the leadership of Mayor Tyre, it's really outstanding. And when we work together as a team, local, state, federal, private partners, that's when we do our very best work. And I love to tease the governor a little bit, okay? And say,
I'm actually, Representative, I'm actually looking for a photo that was taken on that day, which if I can find it, I'm going to send it around.
All right, I love it. Now, I asked the governor 3 years ago, what is a synonym of team? And the answer is, don't worry, I won't embarrass you. I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is Commonwealth. So that's why I'm so proud, so proud to be part of this team. So thank you again. You know, when the taxpayers of the Commonwealth can come and invest here in Pittsfield, they really do get a great rate of return. Thanks again, Mayor. Turning it back to you.
You know, what I can't believe, thank you so much, Representative Farley-Bouvier. I can't believe that this hasn't been a fundamental part of Zoom presentations this whole time. That is such a great thing. And let me tell you, you do look like Samantha Bee out there reporting live on the...
I'm a little nervous about the Samantha Bee thing. I'm a little nervous.
Well,
I was going to say Jimmy Kimmel, but you know, it's the same thing. It's hard to do.
right where she was standing, Mayor Rivera, is where our roundabout is going to go. So right where that intersection where she was standing, that's where we're building our roundabout. So I'm really impressed, Representative. You did a great job out there.
That was great.
In the field. Nice job.
We appreciate it. And again, I think that you started something that, at least with Mass Development, the new events that we do Zoom, we will have somebody with a live shot giving us some perspective. It's really well done. Thank you so much, Representative.
That's fantastic.
Thanks everyone else.
I'd like to just recommend that Senator Hines do it the next time, because this whole hair thing didn't work out very well at all.
Hey, if this state representative thing doesn't work out, you have a future as a broadcaster, I think.
Yes,
that's good.
absolutely.
Maybe next time we might give you a fluorescent vest, safety first. So just want to say thanks to everyone. And again, this could not have been happened if it wasn't for the leadership of the governor, lieutenant governor, Secretary Kennealy. And once again, congratulations to everyone of the awardees today. That concludes our program. Governor Baker, do you have any final words to close us out?
I would just say, thanks, Dan. I would just say, first of all, to Representative Farley-Bouvier, that was a tour de force performance there. And not only was the whole idea, you're right, that's the first time I've ever seen anybody try and do a live shot on a Zoom, which is kind of interesting. You would have figured somebody would have figured that out before now. But I mean, the history lesson she brought to that and the ability she had to tie it into the sort of history and the dynamics of the community in that neighborhood in particular was pretty special. And she does have a future. What I want to see is, I just want to see how she does when she's got the hood on and it's blowing at 100 miles an hour and shaking against her head. If she can do that, she absolutely has a future in journalism here in the Commonwealth. The final point I would just make is I do think we're going to go through what I would describe as challenging times here, but I also believe that challenging times creates opportunity if you're forward-looking and smart about how you think about it. And I think the possibilities coming out of this are terrific. And I just want to say to all the folks who are on and part of the gang out there in Pittsfield and in the Berkshires, you are not only doing a spectacular job in reimagining and rethinking around economic development, you're also leading the way on the percent of your population that has received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine. The bookends in Massachusetts, Barnstable County and Berkshire County, are actually outperforming the rest of the Commonwealth. Kudos to both of you for that.
We're proud of you.
Very much.
proud. Proud
Very
of
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you so much. Again, thanks everyone. Congratulations. And that is the end of our program.